All right, let's talk about your job interview. How'd that go?
Oh yeah. Speaking of never being employed ever again. Uh,
It's gonna happen, Andy.
yeah. I don't know, like the way I'm talking on this podcast. Whoever, if an employer ever looks, really look for it, I'd never be hired.
Oh,
But
sorry, Andy. Yeah, we can't deal with this hate speech.
I'm yeah. If an employer really looked hard and found this, I'm never being hired in this country ever again.
You're gonna be a Michael Knowles, so it's like, yeah, I'm never gonna get hired in this town again.
Exactly. Exactly. But anyways, um, yeah. So today I went on a job interview for a company. Funny enough, I interviewed them. I interviewed with them like a year and a half ago. But I saw that they were looking for a photographer, and so I applied, and they got back to me fairly quickly and scheduled an interview for me. Oh, I heard back from them yesterday, and so they wanted to set up an interview and for today, and so I had the interview today, really early at 9 o'clock in the morning on a Tuesday, because everyone knows and that Tuesdays are the worst days for traffic because most people have Mondays off, and so it took me well over an hour and a half to get down there because it was in downtown LA, within the fashion district, and that took. I'll never get those 2 hours back, essentially.
We never do, Andy. We
Yeah, we
never
never
do.
do. And so I went. I interviewed. They let me know the details of the position. It would be full time. It's only offering this much right now. It would be, and I thought, initially, I mean, it's kind of on me because I guess I didn't read the posting close enough, but um, it wasn't just for like a regular old grunt. It was someone to see, like they were looking for a head photographer, so someone to essentially run the department, but but not that. I mean, because like the pay isn't great, to be honest. Like, especially if
Okay.
someone like is supposed to be the head photographer. And it'll be like I'd be more in if I get the position, I'd be more like operationally, I'd be in charge, but not necessarily. I'm sorry, not yeah. I wouldn't be in charge of the department. I'd just be more operationally. I'd be in charge.
Right. Okay.
Um, and so at this
You'd be like
point,
the assistant to the manager.
right? Like they'd be like the department, like the head of the photography department, and then it'd be me, essentially. Um, and so they asked me if I was good with the rate for pay. I was like yes, and they asked me like do I have any like studio experience, and I said yes, not a great deal, but yes. Um, I just I try to I try to present myself as best I could and to as confidently as I could. And so now, I'm just waiting to hear back. If I do hear back from them at all.
Right. Well, we're crossing our fingers, and yeah, we'll see. We'll support you either way, Andy.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean,
No, I think I've asked this before on the live stream, but and probably on the podcast too. But you must get asked a ton about your condition, right? Like, is that like essentially every interview?
I mean, at interview. Well, here's the thing: they don't directly come out and ask me about my hands. Um, it's more or less kind of like, oh, do you think you can handle the physicality of the position? Because like today, like specifically, the interviewer asked if how would I feel about tearing down and and setting up sets and lights. It basically asking about my hands without really asking about my hands. And I just said like, yeah, I do this freelance. I have my own like home studio, and and I work I work for myself, or I work by myself. I hardly ever have an assistant, so
Help.
I'm the one who's always setting up lights and taking them down and putting up backdrops and taking them down, and so I let them know. I was like, yeah, it's not a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So they ask without asking, essentially.
yeah.
Uh,
But I mean, you get like the occasional people where like you do, like just kind of like, what's the how's this gonna work? Kind of right. You get those too.
Not as much as you think. I think people are just just polite, and they just ask me about like that. That's the question. And I know,
The
that I know.
physicality.
Yeah, it's just like go like, oh, can you handle the physicality of the work? That the job demands, and that's like their polite way of asking me about my hands without asking me about my hands. If you know what I mean.
Yeah. Right. Right. I was always curious because I know that like it has to be like a factor in these interviews. So
Yeah. No, I
at least as
mean,
far as like at least as far as questioning goes, I mean, I mean, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, of course they'd be curious.
right. But I'd much rather than just like ask me straight up. Like this job is very demanding. Do you like and like I know because of your hands. Do you think you'd be able to handle it? I would much
Right.
rather they just ask me like that. Because like just don't be a fucking pussy and just ask me.
Okay. But you're not like mad that like they ask about that, right?
No, I
Like
mean
are you like
because
you're not offended by it or anything?
not offended as not so much offended as I am curious to to know if how many other people how many other applicants do they ask that question, or
True.
like as I because every interview is different, so like I wonder like how many other people that particular question comes up to. Sometimes sometimes it might not come up at all, but I'm just more curious to know like how many other people get asked that question. you know
Yeah, it's a good question.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm not faulting the question because it's a legitimate question because working in photography, especially in a studio setting, you are handling a lot of heavy things, and there is a physicality to working in photography, and so I understand that's a legitimate question. I'm just curious to know like how often is it asked of other applicants.
Yeah, definitely it makes sense.
Yeah.